Hello Year 7, welcome to your first RS lesson of the new way of doing lessons, and it's after Easter now, and everything's still in lockdown probably, otherwise we'd be at school and I wouldn't bother putting this on YouTube. So things must be pretty much similar. Anyway, I've written down it's Year 7, Lesson 1. We're learning about Islam, but before we do that, I set you a homework over Easter, and it was to learn the key terms for this unit. And just like with all your other homeworks, you learn how to spell the words, and you also then have to look up what those words mean. And the point is that then you will know a bit more about those words, and it will help you have good vocabulary for the topic and just help you to, learn a few more words in life, which is always a good thing. So hopefully you've revised for that. So now you just need to go and get a piece of paper and a pen or whatever it is that you're doing your schoolwork on, and I'll begin. So in class, the way we do this is I'll just read out the word, and then you have a bit of time to write down the word, spell it correctly, and then write what you think it means. And then I'll go through the answers afterwards. And then after this key terms test, I'm going to quickly show you what tasks to do for Islam Lesson 1, just to guide you through it a bit in case you're stuck. So anyway, now for the key terms test. Word number 1. Islam. Word number 2, Zakah. I know I'm not giving you enough time in between each one, but you can just pause it. Saves me waiting around. Word number 3, Salah. Word number 4, Shahada. Word number 5, halal. Word number 6, Hajj. Word number 7, Saum. Okay, hopefully you've written all those words down now and correctly spelt them right and said what they mean. Sorry, it's a bit noisy outside. Some people aren't doing the lockdown thing. Look, they're actually hanging around in the park, even though everyone's got to stay in. It's annoying. Anyway, but I don't want to shut the door because then it'll be too hot. Okay, so here is how you spell the words. Number 1, Islam. Hopefully you've got written down something like peace and submission to Allah. That's what Islam means. Let's go and sit over here. Can you still see them okay? Word number 2 is called Zakah, and it means that a Muslim should give a certain amount of their wealth each year to help the poor people in society. Word number 3 is Salah, which means prayer. Each Muslim should pray 5 times a day facing Mecca. Word number 4 is called Shahada, and you spell it like this, and it just means a statement of faith. Muslims believe that there's only one God called Allah, and that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. Word number 5 is called halal, and that means that something is permitted. Something that is halal means what is right. So, for example, if you see some halal meat in the supermarket, it means that that meat has been killed in a way that Muslims find acceptable. So halal is okay. 6, Hajj. It means pilgrimage. So Muslims, it's one of the 5 pillars of Islam that you'll learn about next lesson. A Muslim should, if they can, visit the city of Mecca where Islam began. And the last one, number 7, Saum. it means fasting, not eating for a certain time. It's the month of Ramadan, and where Muslims don't eat or drink during the hours of daylight. And hopefully you got all those words correct. You get 1 point for a correct spelling, and then you get another point for getting the meanings correct. Don't worry if you didn't write down exactly what I just said. Just, if you get close enough, that's fine. Give yourself a point. And then this would be usually time in lesson where we take the scores in and put them on Go for Schools, but we're probably not going to do that. You can't all just shout out your scores, so don't worry about it. Just know that if you did well, well done. So I'm just going to really quickly now take you through how you should do your Islam lesson 1 on the Go for Schools set classwork. So when you log into Go for Schools, there'll be a link, and there's 2 links actually. One link is to this video, so obviously I don't need to show you how to do that one because you've already done it by the fact that you're now watching this, spending your time watching this. But the second link takes you to Islam lesson 1, and in that one you'll find a PowerPoint. So click on that PowerPoint. It's called the Life of Muhammad, Lesson 1, Life of Muhammad PowerPoint. And if you click on that, you should get to the first slide, which looks like this. And essentially what you just need to do is look at some of the images, think to yourself, what questions have I got about Islam? What do I know about this religion already? What don't I know? What would I like to know? And write down any questions that you might have. I think the next slide says something like, write any questions you have about Islam in the space. That would be in your workbook, but don't worry if you haven't got your workbook, just jot down your questions anyway. And we'll try and answer these questions in future lessons, whether that's when we're back at school or maybe we'll still be having lessons from home. Who knows? But hopefully either way, you'll be learning lots about Islam over the next few weeks. The first slide of information is about the 5 pillars of Islam, which are 5 basic duties that Muslims have. And essentially, if you were a Muslim, your 5 main things that you should do are summarised on this PowerPoint slide. So if you're a good Muslim, essentially you will believe in the main point of faith of Islam, which is that there's one God called Allah, Muhammad is the messenger. And pillar 2 is Salah, that's prayer. And if you pray each day, 5 times each day, about this, then pillar 2 supports pillar 1. So those are faith and then reaffirming the faith through prayer. Pillar number 3 is called Zakah, and it's that Muslims have to give a certain amount of their wealth each year to help the poor and needy. I think it's 2.5% of wealth. So if you haven't got any wealth, then you don't make any payment. You're the one receiving it. So it's quite a good system. Number 4 is, for some reason this picture's got them the other way around, but Saum is usually depicted as number 4, and that is that Muslims fast during the hours of daylight for a whole month in Ramadan. And that one supports this one because you're more likely to make your payments to the poor if you know what it feels like to be hungry and have no food. So that one helps you identify with that one. And then pillar 5 is that Muslims should visit Mecca where possible in their lifetime. You'll learn more in a minute about why Muslims visit Mecca. So the first pillar is the Shahada. There's no God but Allah and Muhammad is the messenger. So what you've got to do in the first task is if you go out and open up the timeline the timeline sheet, and then there's another sheet which is called the Life of Muhammad, and that's got some information about what happens in Muhammad's life. And the idea is that you read the Life of Muhammad sheet, read the information, and try and memorise it, and then go back to your timeline sheet and see if, without looking back at the sheet, you can write down the key points in the life of Muhammad. Can you remember what the key points are? So go and give that a go now. Pause the video and come back in a minute. But if you've already done it, or if you want a bit of an extra challenge, there's some other years here that haven't got bubbles and they're not on the sheet. Can you find out what happened in those years as well? This is a bit of a challenge. Okay, so go for that, pause it and then come back. Welcome back. Well done. Hopefully you did really well at that. And I'll go through the answers quickly because I wrote them down over here. Okay, the answers are that in 570 Muhammad was born. In 610 he had his first revelation from the angel Gabriel. In 622 he was ousted to a place called Medina. 622 I mean. And then in 630, or 629 actually, he returned to Mecca to retake the city. And in 632 Muhammad died. So hopefully you got those as the main points, and any extra detail that you got in the circle is excellent. I'm just going to have a look at this. Okay, so the next thing to do is in class, what we would normally do is we would then give you in groups an extra sheet of information which tells you about more and more detail about one of those events. But obviously you're not doing this in class, so what I would say is look in the folder with all the PowerPoint and the other sheets and just choose one or two, or do as many as you like. It depends on how much you want to spend, how much time you want to spend doing this. But read those sheets for extra detail and see if you can annotate your sheet with the extra information. I'll tell you the answers actually. How many of you managed to find out the years for the information for the other years that was on the sheet? So the information, I think, was that in 595, that was when Muhammad got married to his wife Khadija. In 612, that was the time between the first revelation and the second revelation. So Muhammad had to wait for 2 years, I think, before the revelations from the angel Gabriel continued. In 620, sadly for Muhammad, his wife died when he was 50 years old. And in 629, that was when Muhammad marched on Mecca with 1,400 men. It says in the sheet, I think, of extra information that it was largely a peaceful return to Mecca. He marched with an army, but only about 12 people died, I think, in skirmishes, because largely, I think, the people who lived in Mecca at the time just knew that Muhammad was more powerful than them and had amassed a big army. So the next thing, once you've looked at the extra sheets and annotated your timeline with as much information as you possibly can, the next thing is on the PowerPoint slide. If you skip it along a couple, it shows you've learned the facts, but how do these affect the lives of believers? So try and suggest some reasons why the life of Muhammad might be important to a Muslim. Why does it matter that he left Mecca for Medina? See if you can find out why did he need to try and convert all the people of Mecca to a new religion, Islam? Why did he need to do that? What was going on in Mecca at the time that was so bad that a new religion had to begin? And then finally, the last question of the lesson is, do you think Muhammad would have been equally as successful with his message if he'd lived in our time, in 2020? So go and talk about that with people in your household. You know, how easy is it to start a new religion, do you think? How is it easier today to start a religion, or was it easier back in, you know, the 600s when Muhammad was around? So, you know, there's some pictures here on the PowerPoint slide to suggest to you some of the different factors in that. So would Muhammad have had to use social media, for example, or would he have been on TV? You know, you can't, it's quite difficult to create an army to help you to sort of put your religious beliefs forward. So in the modern day, so how would that have worked out for them? And then you've got to the end of the lesson. So once you've done all that, hopefully you will have found that you know lots more about the life of Muhammad than you did before, and how Islam began as a religion. And next lesson, in about 2 weeks' time, there will be lesson 2 of Islam, which is all about the Quran, what it is, where that came from, and why that's important to Muslims today. So well done for completing the work, and if you've got any questions, just email your RS teacher and hopefully we'll be able to help you from there. Thank you very much for watching this. I'll see you soon. Bye.